When I first time read about Cthulhu from Lovecraft lore, I fell in love with this creature and all this universe. I even made tattoo with this elder god and I think now it's time to bring him to life. So we have to begin with creating some skeleton for him, and for this purpose I used some piece of wire and created only upper part of body because this is the only thing we will need for this diorama. Later of course we have to start slap some clay on this guy and create already shape from the beginning. I know many people imagine him like fat old fart, but I like to imagine him like some badass that's looking like Schwarzenegger. Okay, to work on his back I am removing some clay with tool to create shape of muscles because I don't want to add too much clay. Of course he need to look bulky, but not too much. And now I wanted to add a little bit more clay for shoulders because that look kinda weird with so skinny muscles over there. By the way, meet my beloved tool for sculpting. This is Andrzej who likes to work with me. I hope. Okay, now adding some of details, so making here ribs visible, and after that move on with creating weirdo texture to not look so humanish, and also later adding small balls of clay to create this sea creature look. Now time to move on towards nightmare of sculpting. If you watch my other videos then you know that I hate to sculpt hands. This is a really horrible work for me because with my big ass hands it's hard to operate with clay, but somehow I managed to do it. When these dirty hands are done, it's time to move to head, and here I wanted to create something more similar to alien creature, but of course with tentacles. Anyway, for eyes, as always, I'm making some holes and put inside a ball of clay, and later use piece of this stuff again to create eyelid. Later on doing the rest of stuff that will make him look much more interesting. And at the end, of course, we have to attach head to the body and put here some tentacles. Last step to do here is prepare some wings for him. I always try to do wings separately because it's much easier to work with it. I know it's not that stable as creating wings with skeleton, but this is not a big problem because it is going to be anyway in resin, so there is no possibility that it can be damaged somehow. Anyway, I'm just doing here some wiring, apply clay, work on detail, and time to put him to oven to bake. With primering I decided to go with grey color because it is easier to cover with green color later. Now I'm covering the whole body with green and later applying some highlights with airbrush so our Cthulhu won't look so flat. Next color is light brown to paint places on biceps and belly. Later on I'm using some dark red to paint around this weirdo sea creature stuff and also in the center of his head. Now time to move on with my other tool, George W. brush. Sorry, I had to tell this joke. Anyway, I am applying some highlights on these dark red parts to make it pop out a little bit more, and at the end I am adding some wash here to create nice shadows. At the end painting the eyes, here I am using red color because I wanted to make him look evil. Finally time for my beloved oil wash. If you watch my other videos that you know I love to use that. To create it I'm mixing dark oil paint with a lot of turpentine. Later I am applying this mixture all over the Cthulhu, and when it's dry I'm taking off a major part of this paint with cotton soaked in turpentine, so the color will stay in the deepest parts of model and this will create extra contrast. Time for diorama. Here I found some photo frame that will work as a frame. Anyway, I took some styrofoam and cut out some pieces to glue them later to the frame. When I'm more or less satisfied with the amount of styrofoam, I'm using this device to connect wires and melt this stuff because this will create a random rock texture. When it's done, I'm using plaster to cover some gaps and created another variety of texture. Later on, adding some balls and crystals from styrofoam. Balls will work as eyes and crystals as crystals. At the end applying some PVA glue mixed with water so everything will stay on its place. So I primed the diorama off camera and now time to add some colors. Now I'm about to apply blue color because it will give water effect later with resin, and later apply some purple because I'm about to add purple LED light, so this will give extra punch. Now I am about to give here some washes to make these rocks look mossy. This crystal I am painting white because I want to give here OSL effect, that's why I need here white coat, because later I'm using bright blue with airbrush and that will help to get this effect much easier. So now let's move on the eyes. I am painting the first with pale brown to give a natural look, later adding some veins with red and painting pupils with black and yellow, you know, to look creepy. Now background for diorama, I am painting here also with purple and later adding some circles to increase effect of portal that he's going to use. Now drilling some guide holes, connecting the wires and check if everything is working and fits perfectly on its places. Time for the most stressful part of this project, time for goddamn resin. If you ever tried bungee or something like that, this is nothing compared to work with resin. Here so many stuff can go wrong, only one hole can ruin your work, but anyway, it ended up well, so I am not complaining. When resin was hard enough, I used water effect gel that is going to be transparent when it's dry. And actually that's all for this project. Well, I hope you enjoyed this kind of diorama. If you did, feel free to check out my other videos. Bye bye!